Hi everybody, today I'm going to be attempting to repair the stereo on a 2003 Honda Accord. Uh, this appears to be a very common problem with this vehicle, but the backlights on the stereo console or display go out, as well as the LED lights for the HVAC controls. So when you're driving at night you can't see any of the buttons. And from what I've read online, this is, like I said, a very common problem with this vehicle, and it sounds like the issue is a small fuse that is internal to the factory stereo that blows, and once that goes out, none of the lights work. And it sounds like Honda dealers want to charge anywhere from $500 to $1,200 to fix this. There's virtually no parts involved. If you choose to replace the fuse, I think it costs a couple dollars at most. I've seen where a lot of people will just basically bypass the fuse with a piece of wire or even just some solder, and that seems to solve the problem. So I'm going to be attempting to remove this. There's plenty of good videos out there. That's where I learned how to do this. I hadn't seen any that showed how to remove the stereo as well as make the repair all in one video. So I thought I'd try to make a one-stop shop for the entire process. So hopefully this will help some folks out, just as I was helped by others. So what I'm going to need is a trim removal tool. I went to my local auto parts store and bought this set. It's got various size and shape tools. Basically just a sort of like a plastic fork that will fit between the trim and the other dash parts, and will help me lift the trim pieces out. So let me open up this package and I'll get started, and I'll try to show a little bit of each step as I go along. Alright, the first step is going to be to loosen the clips on this top portion of the dash. It's all one piece, and once you loosen the clips, it'll slide out like that. Videos I'd seen made this look pretty simple. In fact, I had quite a hard time getting it loose. I don't know if I was doing something wrong or what, but the problem I was having was the sides, the dash pieces beside this on either side are like fairly soft, and there's a little edge here that wants to just crush when you stick a tool under here to pry up. And I was really having a hard time getting it up without damaging the dash. I finally ended up using a wider trim removal tool, and that seemed to reduce some of the load on this dash piece and kept it from crushing all in one spot. So I used this wider tool and got it up under there, and was able to, rather than like use it as a fulcrum, I just grabbed under it and lifted like that, and that finally got it popped up in one spot, and then I could sort of work my way back. But you can see there's a little slot where the clips are, right there and right there. Same thing on the other side. What I did first was get this side popped up, then this side, and then there's two clips in the front. This I had to use like a 4-inch wide drywall. It's a plastic drywall putty knife. You probably don't want to use metal because that will scratch. But I was able to get wedged in between here, which was a really tight gap. Once I got it inserted, I took this trim removal tool and stuck it in where I had it pried open just a little bit and slid it to one side, and that clip popped open, and then I slid it over to the other side and that clip popped. Now that everything is loose, you can take this piece and slide it forward, and it's got a wire connection up underneath. I think we can just set this out of the way now, like that, and move on to the next portion. I'll get to that next. Okay, the next step is going to be to remove this trim around the shift lever. This came up pretty easy. What I did was I started with a tool that looked like this and wedged up this front corner, and then took another one of the trim tools and got under here and had to pry up fairly hard, and then the clip in the middle here just popped, and I worked my way over to the other side, did the same thing here, and then there's 2 clips in the back too. I've already got it loose, so I'll show you what the back side of this looks like. You see there's 6 clips total. Okay, so now that we've got that loose, the next step is going to be to remove the ashtray and pull this trim out here. So I'll get that loose and then show you how I did it next. Alright, the next step is going to be to remove this little tray. It says not an ashtray, but I'm sure that's what people use it for. Basically just stuck one of the tools down under there on either side and pried up. And that will pop up. That came up fairly easily. It's getting dark now, so it's going to be hard to see, but there's a Phillips head screw here by my finger and another one here. Just take your Phillips head screwdriver and undo those, and then this whole piece will come out. And cigarette lighter has a electrical connection to it, so we'll just have to swing that out of the way. Alright, so the next step is going to be to remove this compartment here. So let me get that loose and then I'll show how I did it. Okay, the next step is going to be to remove this compartment here. It's fairly simple. You're going to see 2 Phillips head screws. There will be one here and another one here. Just back those out, and you can pull up like that. And it's going to be a little bit tricky. I've already got it sort of slid loose, but the part I had trouble with was getting these bottom tabs to clear this piece right here. And you just had to get it at the right angle. I probably won't be able to do it with one hand now. You can see it's sort of a tight squeeze, so you just have to finagle it until you get the angle right, and it'll pop out, which should expose all the screws on the bottom to slide the stereo itself out. So let me get this compartment removed and I'll show you where their screws are, and we'll get the stereo out of here. Alright, now I've got that center compartment removed. You can see the underside of the radio, and you're going to see a hex head nut or screw there, another hex head screw right there. So we need to remove both of those, and then there will be 3 Phillips head screws on the top, one here, and one there. We'll remove those, and then I believe there is a clip under the middle part of the stereo here, so we'll need to pull there and probably pull on top to get it removed. So let me remove all those screws and then see if I can slide the radio out, and I'll show you how that's done. Alright, so I've got the radio loose now. As I showed, I took the screws out on the bottom and on the top, and then I had to grab the top right here and tilt forward, and it took some finagling. There's actually 3 clips on the underside of the bottom here, and it took me a few minutes of figuring out how exactly to disengage them, but I basically rocked it forward, and then one corner, I sort of rocked it back and forth like this, and then one quarter broke free here, and I was able to get the other 2 to come loose. So now this whole unit will slide loose, and there's going to be some cables on the back side that are connected. Let me get it halfway out and I'll show you those cable connections. We'll disconnect those and then we can repair the radio. I'm halfway through with getting the radio removed, and I wanted to stop and show you a couple things. First of all, to even get it this far out of the console, I had to disengage this little wire clip here. It goes in this tab right there. See the hole in that tab? Because there's not enough slack. So originally the thing would only come out like this. I had to look over the top side where this clip goes in that hole and take a pair of needle nose pliers, and you're just going to want to squeeze here like that and depress those wings on either side, and then this wire clip will come out of that tab, and that'll give you some more slack. So now you can see where that connection goes there. There's also another connection down here on the bottom. And in order to break everything loose, it looks like the wiring harnesses are electrical taped to a couple of other clips here and here. So I'll probably just pull that electrical tape off and disconnect the two wire connections, and that'll let me pull everything out. So I just wanted to stop and show that because that could potentially hang you up if you don't realize how to get some slack in these wires. So hopefully that step will help you out. All right, let me get this disconnected, and then we'll take the radio inside and I'll show you how to make the repair. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention. I forgot to show the antenna connection, which is right there. So I wanted to make sure I didn't skip over that part. So as far as I can tell, there are 3 wiring connections. One there where the antenna connects, and then another there. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I covered that. All right, I'm going to disconnect everything and we'll take the radio out completely and start to open it up. Okay, I've got the radio removed from the car, and the next step is going to be to remove some screws. There's one here, and then on the opposite side there's 2 more, one there and one there. And those screws actually hold the radio itself, this, into the bracket and faceplate. So let me take those screws out, get the radio itself freed up, and then we'll open it up next. Okay, I've got those screws removed, so the next step is going to be to lift the radio itself out of the bracket. To do that, you'll have to sort of pry this side piece away as you lift, because as you can see, that clip right there wraps around the back side. So just gently pull that away and lift the radio up, and it'll come out of the housing. I'm not going to be able to show you that portion just because I don't have an extra hand to hold the camera, but it'll lift out easily. So let me pull it out, and then I'll start opening it up to make the repair.